And welcome to the One More Thing podcast. I'm Troy Doucet, and today I'm joined with Pastor Larry.
Good morning. Good morning.
So we're in week number 4, notifications on, and man, what a great sermon yesterday. A lot of humor that you brought in. The personal stories you tell always resonate with our congregation, with our community. And we'll talk a bit about the last story you told a little bit later on. But this sermon, for me, the way I sort of followed you, was really about setting what I called, because Esther and I were talking about it afterwards, setting a priority of like simplicity in your life. And you use the story of Jesus coming to visit Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And Martha, who, true to her name, is a busybody.
Right.
And it says that the text says something very interesting. That's what I want to get your take on. It says that Mary sat at the feet of Jesus and chose the better thing, like the better of the two options. Am I true to the?
I think it's true. Yeah.
All right. So tell us about what drives that for us as humans. Like, how is the good often the enemy of the better in our life?
I think that's well said. Sometimes busyness is enemy of really doing what we should be doing.
Yeah.
We get caught up in 10,000 things, and I love to use the analogy of a spinning plates. It used to be in a TV show many years ago, and it showed some performer spinning one plate on a stick, and then he'd go the next plate, the next plate, the next plate, and finally get 5 plates spinning. But before then, the pole begins to wobble. He has to go back to plate number 1. And I mean, it's hard to keep all 5 of them going. But finally, you're trying to get the 6th one, and you got to keep going back and forth. And the tension of keeping all those going, and finally gets all of them going for just a few minutes, and there's a lot of applause and everything. But when one of those plates falls, it crashes. And we in our society, and I think a lot of us, and I'm included in that, I spin so many plates that some days you go, why am I spinning all these plates? What's the point? Why did I even start that one?
Yep.
And you say, well, I did because I can. But what about the other 5 that you're keeping in the air? And we create tension in our lives. We create problems. We lose perspective. Sometimes we spend so many times spinning the 5 that the 6th plate may be the most important plate.
Yeah.
Or the first plate's the most important. But you're trying to start something new, and the first one will crash.
Yeah.
And what could the first plate be? Could be your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
First plate could be your relationship with your children, or your relationship with your parents, or a relationship with friends. And you're so busy that these things begin to fall. Mm-hmm. And how do we not start the new things, yet still keep a vibrant life, still keep the tension and excitement? And I think that's where the story of Martha comes in. Here she is doing good stuff, trying to make a meal, trying to serve Jesus in the best way she knew how. And Mary is sitting on her cushion on the floor, just saying, I'm soaking it all in.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about the text to me is the attempt of Martha to blame others for her inability to keep the plates all spinning.
That's right.
Lord, don't you care?
That's right.
And tell her to get off her butt and help me.
Yeah.
And he goes, whoa. Martha. Mary's just sitting there doing what she does best. And maybe not just that she's just sitting here, but maybe she's decided to let so many things go.
Yeah.
And just focus in the moment on that which is the spiritual connection, which I'm trying to teach about love and this whole upside-down kingdom. And she's trying to get that, and you're missing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
for me, it was profound, because there's the old cliche saying, when I say yes to something, I have to say no to something else, in terms of I only have so much bandwidth. But I want to play like a little bit of an apologist for Martha.
Sure.
And situated in our culture. Like, there was an expectation that was placed culturally, historically,
Absolutely.
on her to do all these things. But yet, the argument Jesus seems to make, that you echoed in the sermon, was that sometimes, and that was your point number 1, sometimes the expectations of others forces me to sort of have to negotiate or compromise what's most important in my life. Like, explain that for us. Like, how do we fight against that tendency to, well, this is this is tradition. I've always done it this way,
Right.
or the expectation. This is what they expect of me to do, versus peanut butter sandwiches would have just been fine.
Right.
You know.
I think that there's I'm going to answer indirectly.
Yep.
But I think within society and within culture, all of us, when we are learning and growing and evolving, things have to change.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to keep all the things, the plate spinning from our previous life as we move into a new life. And for those of us that are in the world of Christianity, we have to keep the plate spinning for traditional Christianity,
Yeah.
and then try to talk about how there's this new Christianity, a new understanding of Christianity, and it's hard to keep all those plates spinning. So sometimes we choose to go, that plate needs to fall,
Yeah.
and we let it go. But I think it's better when we make that decision rather than just neglect it. Sometimes we have to say, that's not going to work for me anymore. There's so many things that I used to think were absolutely true, things that I really believed in, that I now do not believe in, or my mind has transformed, or my viewpoint has transitioned to something bigger.
Yeah.
And I need to let that go. But at the same time, it's gracious of me when I could look at others in that place and go, they're doing the best they can. They're spinning the one plate, and they, even though I'm not spinning that plate, they are. And you just kind of look at them and smile and pray that someday their eyes will be open and realize that's a treadmill or a hamster wheel that you can jump on and stay on it your whole life, and it's really not getting you anywhere.
That's right.
But I think it's just growth. And poor Martha, she was caught in the cultural expectation. I think that's insightful for you to say, and I think it's true.
Yeah.
And we are too.
That's it. Yeah. That's where I was going to go. Being at Suncoast and being one of the teaching pastors and having a voice to our community, and even the online presence and the podcast we do, there's a lot of people who reach out, with questions. If I wanted to, every night of my week could be filled talking to someone, meeting with someone, going to dinner, but yet I have a wife at home who kind of goes, I need some time too.
Right.
But yet I know that's people's spiritual development's really important, and I have to choose wisely, what I say yes to, what I say no to. And so I find that struggle because I am such a compassionate person, and I want people to get what we're saying, especially if there's any hint of confusion. But yet it can't be at the detriment of, my family or the time I have with the kids and things like that. So Saturday morning I woke up and I went to the beach and I baptized two beautiful little babies of a family that comes to our church, and which was awesome. Yesterday I was on the water with some friends, Jeff and Stacy and my wife for, it seemed like 8 hours, but it was a blast. But that time of rest, which goes back to last week, I think it corresponded well to what the busyness has to be somewhat beneficial to my growth, right?
I think so.
But then you told this story at the end, which it had us rolling. But I think it capstoned what you were saying incredibly well. That when I'm busy, when you were trying to push that, I want you to kind of recap that story. You're trying to push the seat back instead of focusing on what was paramount in that moment, like traveling, driving, awareness. And then the can of WD-40 explodes in the back of your Pilot.
Yeah. And by forcing it, it was in the track.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's my can of WD-40.
Yeah.
It's not, I could blame it on someone else, but
That's right.
It had been in the back. It probably fell to the front when the seat was down, and it stuck under that seat. I thought it was probably one of my grandson's tennis shoes or just maybe something.
Yeah.
And so I was determined to shove that thing back. And when that can erupted, and the bewilderment, it would have been fun to see a video of that, because I'm a pretty problem-solving type guy, very mechanical. But to try to figure out what in the world is going on, and then to see the whole car fogging up with all these probably toxic fluorocarbons that I'm getting, and rolling the windows down. And one of the things they say, if you can smell paint or WD-40 when you're wearing contacts, it's in your contacts.
Oh, man.
And I want you to know it does not lubricate your contacts. But I had all kinds of people after the service saying, oh, yeah, I use that for my arthritis on my elbow. And I'm just like, well, that's why I have no arthritis. I mean, it must be the WD-40. But trying to get rid of the can with the window open in midst of traffic, it was just one of those moments to where I just had to hold on to this chaos
Yeah.
until I could find a place to pull over and try to reorder some things. And I think it's a common denominator of life that everything could be great, and the next thing you know, chaos breaks out. We don't know what to do, and at some point, we do the best we can, and then at some point we start laughing about it.
That's right.
And I think I told Becky, and honestly, she was laughing so hard. I said, "Do you need to call me back?" Because I didn't think she could even talk on the phone. But she just likes to see me in a place to where I'm just, but she also laughs when people fall. So it's a sickness. I go, you're a sick person. But something in her is tripped about the calamity of someone else. And, of course, at the end of the day, you go, was anybody hurt? Did it really do any damage? And people ask me about my car. Honestly, the car cleaned up so easily.
Yeah.
The joke is people say, well, how'd your car clean up? I said, you have to ask Becky. Which is a joke because she didn't have anything to do. I said, ask Henley. I used several people. But I really pulled over and I just took a towel and wiped it all down. It was no big deal. But we get so frustrated sometimes in life about when things don't go exactly right.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where Martha was, just really frustrated. I think Jesus, what he wanted is Martha. So we need to sit and have a laugh about this.
Yeah.
I'm here. I don't need all this detail. Please don't do it because I don't need it.
Yeah.
Mary has chosen the best portion. She's decided I'm not going to miss Jesus with all the chaos of trying to be organized. Sort of like I like this analogy, bringing someone to church and you really want them to come in and hear something from the front that really is life-changing, but they never make it inside.
Yeah.
They're caught up with somebody on the outside. Maybe they're reading something or checking their phone, or maybe somebody calls them and they never make it in, so they don't hear it.
Yeah.
And I think they miss it sometimes. So it's kind of like sometimes we're just this close.
Yeah, man.
And the distractions of life keep us from finding that which would make our heart sing.
That's it. And what you said Sunday resonated with the baptism I was able to do for the family on Saturday, because the father, Francois, he wanted to pay me.
Right.
He wanted to give me money. And I said, no, man, nothing. Like I am blessed to just be here and experience this with you and your family. And I think Jesus was trying to tell Martha the same thing. Just don't let these worries distract you from just be blessed enough to be here.
Right.
And that can happen in church life too. We come in with an expectation or some sort of tradition, and when it doesn't, I love what you say, breathe in and smile and just awaken yourself to the realization, like, you're blessed to be alive. Life is good. And that's
another way to say it, and I think you said it, but I'll say it in different words. Be in the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in the moment with Francois and the kids.
Yeah.
And I think that Mary was in the moment. Martha was not.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're this close from being in the moment, and we're so close, and we miss it. And sometimes that's unfortunate. Some people are really moved by music, and they really feel their hearts sing with the music, and they don't get in to hear the music.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're this close.
Yeah.
And that's why encore comes up. And all of a sudden encore, they get in and they get it.
Yep.
And their heart sings. But I don't know what it is about us, but sometimes we miss it and we shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think my commitment is I want to be sure that I breathe in, breathe out, take time for reflection, and don't miss all the great moments of life.
Yeah, that's wise words. Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Baucom.
My pleasure.